What's up, Alliance fam? Today's class is mainly focused on knees and shoulder extension. Hope you enjoy the class. As always, don't push any pinky points the first time you do it. Use it as sort of as an exploratory thing so you can have an idea of what's going to be appropriate for you. All right, we're going to do some knee stuff today, namely deep knee flexion. That means I'm going to bend my knee real deep. It's important for us to be able to operate there because in many sports and many activities, we find ourselves in deep knee flexion. In jiu-jitsu, we find ourselves in deep knee flexion all the time. When you squat down to get something, you find yourself in deep knee flexion all the time. In any type of activity or sport where you might actually lose balance, you'll find yourself in deep knee flexion. The greater the deep knee flexion that you control, the more safe you will be throughout life and in any activities that you do. This is also good if you have knee pain or knee issues. The thing that we want to get across first is that the knee rotates. So if I'm looking at my knee, I'm touching my kneecap, and then I go a little further and it's soft, and I go a little further and a bone sticks out. That's my tibia. I'm going to make my tibia rotate left to right, and I'll ask you to pull your toes off the ground a little bit so you'll be in some degree of dorsiflexion. Once I've done that, I'm just going to look at that thing and I'm going to have it rotate this way, then I'm going to have it rotate that way. This is the first time you're doing it. It will feel weird, it will feel awkward, but that's okay. Here's what you're looking to feel. Take your fingers, if there's two strings right here, take them about halfway up your thigh, stick them into those grooves. I just need you to feel with your fingers something moving underneath there or tensing as you make this motion back and forth. It will be more prominent on this side for most people and less prominent on this side, and that's okay. But here's what you're paying attention to. My knee is in a hallway, so my knee doesn't go right to left because if it does, that's my hip motion. I want just this. This should rotate independently of this. And your ability to rotate here will say a lot about how safe your knee is, period, over time and what it's capable of doing. Rotation should always be what you try to tackle first. So we just want to make sure we rotate that back and forth a couple times. You'll just pretend like you're rotating over on this side of your heel, then over onto this side of your heel. Again, the genesis of the movement is back here. It's not with the foot. So the foot must come along for the ride at some point, but we don't want it to be the one that creates the movement. So now we're going to do knee cars. Now we know what that rotation feels like. Don't worry if it doesn't feel great right now or you don't feel like you have it mastered, because it's a really hard skill to develop, and we're going to use that now in both flexion and extension. So basically we want to rotate the knee right to left from a bent knee position and an almost straight knee position. And we want to feel what it feels like to go to those places and back in those different directions of rotation. So you'll hook your hand behind your leg, and if you don't have a bunch of motion here, that's fine. This is just sort of to let us keep this thigh still while we make this motion. So I'm hooking, and you can be like this, you can be like this, wherever you're comfortable. I like to be here. So this hand will help me monitor the knee to let me know whether I'm going right to left, and this hand will be something that I can tell myself that I'm not going to move very hard into. So I'm going to pull my toes off the gas pedal. I'm going to rotate towards the inside, which would be internal tibial rotation. Then from here, I'm going to start to kick my leg out till it's almost straight, or however far you can go. Now, when you rotate over to the other side, be real careful. You have less here than you did when the knee was bent. I'm still looking for that rotation as I pull my heel back towards me. I'm going to rotate over to the inside again, slowly in control, kick my leg out towards the almost straight position. When I'm done, I'm going to rotate back over to the outside, bring it back down. On this rep, you're going to leave it there, so it's pointing towards the outside. I'm looking for more of that rotation to the outside as I come up. When I'm about to be straight or wherever I need to stop, I'm going to rotate it back over. I'm going to bring it back down. From here, I'll rotate it back out, go back up. And it's going to be harder for you to rotate internally here, which is the one we're doing right now, so just be careful. Slowly come back down. And if you feel like you're reaching for more than you have and it's affecting your movement, that's your cue to bring it back a little bit, rotate a little less. Let's set up for the same way on the other side. So I'm here, I'm going to rotate it towards the inside, start to kick it back out. I'm going to rotate it towards the outside. I'm still looking for more rotation as I pull my heel back towards me. Back out again. When I'm at the top, I'm going to rotate my toes towards the outside, which is accomplished by moving this whole piece here. I pull it back down. I'm going to leave it there. kick it back out. When I feel like my leg needs to stop, I'm gonna rotate it back in. Remember, this is the one that's harder to accomplish. Clean, back down. It doesn't have to be perfect today, but we still wanna be intentional. We wanna be specific. Back out. Almost straight, I rotate it back in, pull it back down. Okay, so we're gonna set up next to our object. What's gonna happen is I'm gonna put this knee here, or this foot up on a block behind me. So first of all, what I want you to do is this. Go into a half kneeling position, and I want you to squeeze your butt a little bit. So there's a straight line from my ear to my knee. I'm not here, and I'm not here. I'm right, straight down. And then I'm gonna see how close does my heel come to my butt. I need to have an idea of how close that is. Once I know how close that is, then I can go just a little bit past that. So since I already know where I'm at, I know that I'm gonna be right about here. Now here's an important distinction to make. If this is way uncomfortable for you, meaning that the thing that's blocking you is on your foot, I want you to change. Either put a pillow underneath your knee or get a smaller object, and the object can be here. That's less demanding. So if this feels okay, which your ankle is in plantar flexion because now it's affecting the bioflow in the front of our thigh even more, that's fine. But if it's too much, then either come out of the angle by leaning your torso forward, or make this lower or this higher. Put something underneath. So right from here, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start to explore what it feels like in the front to bow that tissue into a stretch. So if you don't feel it yet, all you have to do is get a little bit taller, and we're talking about that big belt buckle we have. We're gonna start to tilt that belt buckle towards the ceiling, which would be a posterior pelvic tilt. From that position, that should bow the tissue in the front. If you still can't feel it, keep tucking and then let your pockets travel forward a centimeter. So now you will feel the stretch in that tissue. And if you don't, that means we gotta close this angle a little bit more. And if you close that angle even more and your heel comes to your butt and you still don't feel a stretch, that means that you're probably superhuman. But everybody I've ever worked with has been able to feel this. So we're gonna start to feel what it feels like to use that tissue and explore that tissue in terms of finding your specific line of tension. Something we need to address all the time is how I set up and how you set up might be different. So if I'm here and I don't feel this stretch, that means I might need to adjust something. So what happens if I rotate my torso towards the other leg? That's gonna affect the stretch that I feel in this tissue. What happens if I lean back a little bit? That's gonna affect how I feel the stretch in that tissue. Putting my hand behind my head, that might affect it. Hand overhead, that might affect it. Rotating this way, that might affect it. Also the placement of where the foot is behind your butt. Right now I want it straight back as if it's all in the same line. But if I had a specific case where I had to come out to the side, I might do that as well. So don't ever feel like you have to set up in a specific position. Everybody's body is different, everybody's history is different, and we need to find the line of tension that works best for us. Because if we don't feel it, we're not getting the best return on investment for the time we're spending. Anytime you spend time with us, we want you to get the most return on investment that you can. So find your specific line of stretch, get there, and then I'm going to show you now how we can use the tissues on the front in this lengthened position. So that means since this tissue is on length, it's physically and mechanically weakest there. Physics will tell us that. So we need to train there. We want to expand how far out in our ranges of motion that we can be strong. So as I'm here, the first thing I'll do is I'll lightly push my foot into that block behind me, and you should feel that tissue you are stretching work. After I do that, I'm going to drag the earth forward with this knee while I'm pushing my foot to the box. I'll use the other leg to pull my heel back towards the block behind me. And between those two things, I should really feel a great amount of sensation in this front side. Slowly let that tension go. Slowly wrap it back up. So I'm going to count down from 5. Pretend you're doing 20% per second. 5, 4. Remember, you're pulling the earth forward. 3. Crushing the block behind you. 2, 1. Slowly relax. So if you want to tackle the front of that tissue, which you should, that's how you'll do it. But we're going to focus mainly on the tissue in the back for now. So when we go to this next part, if you don't feel like you can do anything, that's your cue to kick that ankle out a little bit farther. Make it a little farther out. Because if it might be easy for you to get to this deep degree of knee flexion in a passive way because there's some external force taking you there. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're in the range where you still have some neurological control. So we need you to have some neurological control here, but it should be at a place where you're not neurologically familiar. So I'm here. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my fingers, I'm gonna touch the hamstring stuff, my thigh, on the backside of my thigh. And I'm gonna see, before anything, can I squeeze that tissue? Good, I can squeeze that tissue. So now that I'm squeezing that tissue, I'm gonna work. That's exactly what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna get tall. Whatever the object is that I'm using for balance, or if it's a wall, I'm going to find support in that. It's gonna help me feel strong. If you've got foam in front of you, you can do something like this. Put your elbows into it. Like a clench in Muay Thai. So from here, I'm gonna tuck my hip. I'm gonna get that nice stretch in the front of my tissue. But I'm gonna start to now attempt to lift my foot off the block. So just think about that feeling for now. And slowly let that go. We're gonna do that again, slowly. And start to build the tension. You'll feel it deep in your hamstring starting to go once you start to become more familiar with it. Now that we sort of have an idea of what that feels like, we're gonna try to snap our foot off of that. So now what we're gonna do is this. I'm gonna feel that tissue, I'm gonna slowly let it go. I'm gonna snap to that position fast. That means I'm trying to snap my heel to my butt. And if you're in the right place, it should not move, but you should feel a strong, deep sensation in your hamstring, okay? So let's start to find tension. The places that I can find tension here, again, my front foot, big footprint into the ground, slightly pulling my heel back towards the wall behind me. Nice strong tuck in my hip. I'm feeling my hamstring stuff, and I'm gonna try as hard as I can to pull my heel off the block in 3, 2, 1, fast. Go, hold, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, slowly relax. If you cramp, just come up and get out of the position. But I encourage you to flirt with the cramp. So that means don't run into it, don't run away from it. But we should experience some mild cramping feelings here, at least. Going for rep 2 now. Solidify, pull the heel into the ground, get hard on your objects, send some air into your stomach in 3, 2, 1, lift off, try to take the heel away, fight as hard as you can, 5, 4, harder. 3, pull harder. 2, even harder. 1, slowly let that tension go. Don't change position in your body. We're going for rep 3 now. Solidify. Lift the foot off. Go. 5, 4, pull your heel to your butt. 3, $2 million behind your knee. Squeeze it. 1, slowly relax. One more time. Take a breath. Pack it down to your midsection. Pull the foot off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Nobody move. Freeze. For the next part, you can do one of 2 things. You can either come out a little further, so I take the heel away from the butt a little bit, and I can even lean onto this knee, or I can just push this object back. I'm going to use this for ease just because of the way it's set up. So now I'm here. I'm still thinking about a straight line from my ear to my knee, but the orientation of my torso is different. So I'm about here. Now I will make that foot move. That foot must come off the block now. So everybody's gonna solidify here, find tension wherever you can for your specific setup. Start to irradiate tension through your body by sniffing some air into your stomach. Squeeze that tissue on the back side of your thigh. In 3, 2, 1, lift it off, hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, parachute it down. Woo. If you're in the right place, it won't move much. But there's a scale behind that foot on the thing that is touching. Make that scale light. Solidify, pull off, go. 5, 4, look for the cramp. 3, flirt with it. 2, 1, parachute. Again, up. 5, 4, 3, 2, parachute. Again, go. 5, 4, don't move anything else. 3, 2, 1, parachute. One more time, go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. I'm gonna switch sides now. Ooh, so you guys know what it looks like? Actually, let me move the block. Okay, so we're gonna set up and we're gonna explore the tissues on the front side If you need to, shake the other side out, maybe straighten it out, bring your belly button towards your hip. That tissue should be still talking to you if you did it right. So I'm gonna set up here. So remember, if you were me, you would have first checked, what does my active knee flexion look like? Boom. So I know what mine is. Then I'm gonna find myself in a position that's appropriate for that, which is about 15 degrees. Which is about 15 degrees past where I was. So, for example, if that was here, I'm just gonna go to about here. I know where mine's at, it's right about here. So we're gonna get here, we're going to find our object, we're gonna start to explore the line of stretch in the front of that thigh. I'm gonna rock my butt out to the left a little bit, I'm gonna rock my butt out to the right a little bit, I'm gonna tuck my hip a little harder, I'm gonna extend back a little bit while I tuck my hip. I'm just exploring for different points, lines of tension there. Then I'm going to start to use that line of tension. So I've found the one that's the greatest line of tension for me, and I'm going to hang out there for a little bit. So if you're wanting to use this in a different way, you can wait the 2 minutes like we always do, and then create position isometrics. Today for class, we're just going to go right to those position isometrics. So from here, I've found my greatest line of stretch. So I push my foot into the block behind me while I pull my knee forward. That automatically makes this other leg want to pull forward, pull back towards me. This sort of closes this space, which is great. So I'm using this stuff that I just stretched. I'm going to hold, I'm going to tuck a little harder. I'm going to keep pushing my foot. I'm going to keep pulling my knee. I'm going to slowly, slowly relax it. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to hold. Slowly, slowly relax. Good. So now we've explored that line of tension. We know where that's at. And we're going to work the back side again. So the same thing, this should be in a place where you feel like, oh, I almost got some action, but I don't have a bunch. You're trying to create neurological sovereignty over that tissue right now. You want it to command that tissue to tell it what to do. Because obviously we can go here, we just need to be able to control it. If you're here, you can go there. But we need you to be able to take yourself there. So I'm going to get nice and tall, sniff some air into my stomach, and then I'm going to start to pull the other heel towards me, and then I'm going to do my best to take my foot off of that block. Now squeezing stuff in the back of my thigh, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, slowly relax. Going again, go. 5, 4, you feel like you're struggling to control it. 3, that you can't keep the tension steady. 2, 1, your job is just to try to keep that tension as steady as possible. Again, go. Hold. 5, 4, don't let your hip come back. 3, keep that same position. 2, 1, slowly, slowly relax. Again, lifting off, go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great. So same deal, I change that angle a little bit by bringing my whole torso forward. Now I am going to take my knee off that block, so find places to solidify your body. 3, 2, 1, lift off, hold. 5, 4, flirt with the current. 3, 2, parachute. Good. Again, go. 5, 4, 3, 2, parachute. Good. Again, go. Hold. 5, squeeze it. 4, 3, 2, 1, parachute back down. Again, go. 5, 4, 3, 2, slowly, slowly, slowly return. Last one, go. 5, 4, 3, 2, good. So that's working the knee in deep flexion, but the other end would be extension. So I'm gonna show you how to work that too, using different degrees of tibial rotation. So remember when we rotated our tibia previously, so if I'm showing you here, in and out, we're gonna start with in. So I'm going to first, and I'm gonna show you from this position first. I'm gonna rotate in, and then I'm gonna start to push my legs out away from me. So I'm gonna leave some degree of knee bend, and I'll turn to the side now so you can see. And if this is your first time doing it, err on the side of caution the very first time we do it, and give yourself a little more knee bend than you think you need. So let's say that I was here, I've internally rotated my tibias, and I've pushed my heels out to about here. So I have about that much knee bend. I'm gonna lay down. So from here, and the more straight your knee is, the harder it's gonna be. So the space between my knees should remain the same the whole time. If you have a yoga block or a foam roller, put that there now and keep it there. Because what's gonna happen is your knees are gonna wanna move to take the tension away from the tissue that we want. So I'm here, I'll base my hands out to the side, I'm keeping my tibias rotated towards each other. I should feel the inside of my hamstrings. I'm gonna lift my butt off the ground. Go, hold, 5, 4, nothing else should move, 3, 2, 1, parachute it down. You know what that feels like now. If it wasn't challenging enough for you, go out a little further. Same deal, rotate the tibias this way, your toes should be closer together, but your knees should stay right where they are. You can even pull your heel back into the floor a little bit, pulling the rug towards you. Now lift your hips off the ground and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly come down. One more time. Up. 5, 4, 3, 2. You should feel the inside of your hamstrings. 1. Parachute down. Now you're going to rotate towards the other side, but bring your knees back in. Externally rotate the tibias. Now they're putting away from each other. Your knees still need to be the same distance next to each other, so that block or object between your knees is still important here if you have it. I'm going to take it out some. I'm going to lay it down. I'm going to keep, so it's important here that I'm not here, okay? My leg, my thigh bones are still pointing straight out and down from my hips. It's the movement happens below my knee. And if I'm doing it right, I feel in this part of my thigh. Getting ready to lift off now. Hook the heels into the ground, go. 5, 4, 3, 2, parachute it down. Pull the rug in towards you, up. 5, 4, 3, 2, slowly come down. One more time, up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we've explored we've been able to do some work now that gives you some options to use from a deep knee flexion position or your knee being bent. It gives you some options from the knee being almost straight and dealing with those different degrees of tibial rotation. After class, you should go and do this on your own, a few more rounds, because one round is not sufficient for training. For most people, one round shouldn't be sufficient for the training stimulus. But, add the sets and reps accordingly. Okay, we're gonna move on to shoulder extension now. So shoulder extension is this motion here, which is my arm goes this way. So you can do bent arm shoulder extension, and you can do straight arm shoulder extension. We're gonna play with a little bit of both today. We'll start by doing cars from a quadruped position. So it's technically not a full car because we'll be missing this portion, but we'll start from here. So I'm on all fours, hands right below shoulder, knees right below hips, and my hand starts here. But I still want to rotate externally. So that means, again, my arm is a stick and I want to rotate it this way. That's external rotation. So we're using whatever external rotation we have from here. But that comes from my shoulder, it doesn't come from me side bending. So I'm still showing my palm, I'm going to put up my elbow to the ceiling. And then I'm going to come to about here. When I'm near my ear, I'm going to start to rotate the other way as I sweep back behind me. I keep rotating that direction till the back of my hand is on my pocket. Now I'm going to reverse. When I feel like I'm going to lose rotation if I keep going, I'll stop there and I'll rotate the other way. And I'm going to keep looking for that direction of rotation as I come back until my fingertips hit the ground. Reverse. Return. Let's do one more. Nice and slow. The side of the arm that I'm articulating, the chest on that side should stay the same distance from the ground the whole time. Use just what you have. Good. Let's turn on the other side. So I'm here.
Fingernails are on the ground. Sniff some air into my stomach. I come to flexion. I internally rotate. I reach back behind me while I keep trying to rotate in that direction. My hand touches my pocket. Reverse. Slow and controlled. Fingernails on the ground, going back out. Rotating. I keep rotating. I keep wringing out that towel. My knuckles end up on my pocket. Reverse. Slow and controlled. Big handprint in the ground with the other hand. Fingernails touching the ground now. Reverse again. Bring it back out. Arms straight. Sweep it behind you. Keep going. Back of the hand ends up on the pocket. Reverse. Good. So here's what we're going to do first. Because when we go to this next position and we start to use our stuff to try to extend our shoulder, we're going to find that we're really working on just trying to pull our shoulder blades together. And that's not necessarily what we want to feel. We want to delineate between what would be retraction of the shoulder blades and extension of the shoulder. We can start to do that like this. So if you're in a kneeling position, you get nice and tall. So straight line from here up to my ears again. And I'm going to be here. It's almost like I'm doing dips. So the first thing I do is I go here. Right here, my shoulder blades are already pulling together. So I encourage that. I pull them even closer together. Now from here, if they're already pulled all the way together, they can't move anymore. So the other stuff has got to bring my elbows up towards the ceiling. So feel that now. You should feel this part of your tricep. You should feel some stuff in here. And you should feel that stuff pulling your elbows straight up towards the ceiling. Now we're going to go back to here. I want you to let your shoulder blades go. Pull them back together. So now we can differentiate between those two feelings. And we want to feel the other stuff, not the shoulder blade stuff pulling it together. We want to feel the tricep around here. We want to feel this stuff back here. We want to feel that stuff pulling the arm bone back. And we're going to do that from a prone position. That means I'll be face down. So I'm going to go face down now. And I'm going to be about here. So if I was going to do a push-up, that's about where I would be. Also for me, my knuckles sort of line up with my nipple. So the thing to remember here, if I just say, hey, pull your hands off the ground, a lot of the times what happens is people just retract their shoulder blade and bring their knuckle off the ground. My goal is not to bring my knuckle off the ground. My goal is to bring the back of my elbow towards my ear or towards that wall there. That's going to help me feel the shoulder extension tissues, okay? So we're going to be here now. And that's all we're going to do is we're just going to lift off. But we're going to be specific about what we're using to lift off, okay? So from here, I'm going to squeeze my legs together. And then also, here's another thing I should review, is when I'm here, the angle of my arm matters. Because if I'm out here and I'm trying to lift off, it's going to be a different experience than if I'm here and lifting off. Or if I'm here and lifting off. So if you need to have some space between your body and your fist, that's okay. Find the place that's appropriate for you. So we're going to go back to that position now. Because this doesn't work if it's way too close. So find the position that's appropriate for you. Squeeze the legs together. I'm already pulling my shoulder blades together, so now that's out of play. From here, I'm going to pull my elbows that way, and that's going to result in my knuckles coming off the ground. Okay, sniff some air into my stomach, keep it tight. I make my legs as straight as possible, and then I'm going to pull my shoulder blades together. When I can't pull them together anymore, I bring my elbows up and towards the back of my head. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, parachute it down. Again, go. 5, 4, 3, 2, parachute. Again, go. 5, 4, 3, 2, parachute it down. Okay, so pull the elbows a little closer together. Make sure your shoulder blades are still retracted. 3, 2, 1, up. 5, 4, 3, 2, parachute it down. One more time, up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. So things we want to think about when we're there. You might feel like you're trying to extend through your spine a whole bunch. We want to sort of unbiased at. If you're really working towards trying to get that end range, you're gonna feel all these other things come into play, especially from this position here. If you can't get any motion there, I still want you to make that intention, because that's still going to be useful for you. If I can't access that, can't make that tissue move there, but I can contract that tissue, that's you practicing towards being able to lift it off there. All right, so now we're going to do close to the same thing, but we're going to add in another element which is going to increase the difficulty. So I'll show you from the side first. If I'm here, I'm in bent arm shoulder extension. All I'm going to do is I'm going to start to straighten my elbow. But notice that when I do so, my elbow didn't come back forward, because it's going to be easy for me to go like this. And that turns into something different, because I lose a degree of shoulder extension if I do that. So, for example, if I'm here and I keep those tissues on tension that we talked about, I start to straighten it out, that's going to be a lot more work for those tissues than this, because when I go here and I do this, I lose space. I don't want to lose that space. I want to snatch that up, and then I don't want to let it go, and then I want to slowly come out. Another thing to think about is this. As I do this motion, and I hinge my elbows out, it's going to be really easy for me to do this. And the next thing I know, I end up out here. And it's not as difficult. So I want to be as close together here as I can, as if I'm holding a beach ball behind me. So we'll be hinging the elbows out from there. Again, you should feel a bunch of this stuff and a bunch of this stuff here. I really do care about what you're feeling. Remember, whenever we're doing any of these things, we need to be specific about what we're feeling. That's how our brain is going to learn. All right, so we're going to go here now. The prone position. And then my hands are set up pretty close to the same way. Again, I want to pull my shoulder blades as close together as possible, and I'm going to keep them there the whole time. So I'm going to hold them there, lift it off, slowly start to straighten your arms out, squeeze, elbows high to the ceiling, slowly bend the elbows, leave the elbows high, bend the elbows as much as possible, kick it back out. High, high, high. Pinkies to the ceiling, elbows to the ceiling, slowly return. Set it down, take a breath. Going up again, open that chest up, lift the knuckles off the ground, elbows high, bring the pinkies to the ceiling, squeeze your back arm. Slowly return. Relax, take a breath. Solidify your body, open up your chest, lift off, hands come out, hold, hold, go higher, return. Take a breath, one more time. This time I want you to get as much height as possible. Solidify every single cell in your body. Pull your shoulder blades together. Lift your hands off the ground now. Straighten out your elbows, bring the elbows and pinkies as high to the ceiling as possible. Hold. Squeeze your back arm as hard as you can. Feel your armpit. Hold, hold, hold. Bring it back in real slow. Don't rush it. Good. Whew. Okay, come back up. So now, sweat like a pig. We're gonna go rotate from that position, okay? So, let's do one side at a time. And if you have a wall or an object or something, place yourself next to it. So I've got about a fist of space, maybe a little bit more, because I want to make sure that I don't abduct too much. If I start to abduct while I'm here, I'm going to know. So about a fist, maybe a little bit more. Or if you do the shock sign, about that much. You're going to be standing, half kneeling, it doesn't matter here. The wall that's in front of you, lasers coming out from these 2 points in your chest and the 2 bones on your pockets, shining straight ahead. I don't want those lasers to ever move, okay? So this arm is straight, and I'm making a fist. I rock it out into extension. Wherever my extension ends, making sure my elbow is still straight, start to rotate. So I'm just rotate my arm this way, then this way, as far as I can from that position. It will be much less than you think it is, okay? Proud chest, shoulder blades towards your spine, rock that out, think about the lasers in front of you. Internally rotate, that means I'm pouring out the soda. Hold that for a breath. Externally rotate, ring it out. Keep that hand high. Rotate back over, don't shift through your torso. Back to external rotation. Don't touch that wall or that couch or whatever it is. Internally rotate one more time. Externally rotate, bring it back out. Slowly relax and switch sides. So I'm going to bring my arm up to here. I go into shoulder extension. I've got about a fist or a chakra sign between my shoulder and the wall. I'm going to start by internally rotating, which means I pour the soda out, keeping my hand high. Externally rotate, I'm going in the other direction. Internally rotate. Now if you feel your knuckles touching the wall, or your fingers touching the wall, move out a tiny bit, or see if you can bring your hand in closer towards your midline. Rotate back out. I'm going to external rotation now, pointing my thumb to you. Internally rotate, I'm pouring out the soda. I'm going to do one more. Out. In. Good. Sit on your butt now, and you're going to go into this position. So I'm here. My shoulder is in some degree of extension here. What am I going to do? I'm going to rotate it again. But this time my hand is stopping me. So you see that my fingertips are pointing back towards you. From here, I'm going to pop my chest open. I'm going to rotate my elbow pits inside and then outside. So I'm essentially doing this same motion, but my hands are planted here. So I'm bringing out that motion between my wrist and my shoulder as much as possible. I'm pointing out. I'm pointing in again. Hold. Back out. Back in. Now my fingertips come out a little bit and they point to the side. I'm going to do the same thing. I rotate in. I rotate out. Keep rotating while I run my mouth. So as we do this, what I'm doing is providing different feedback to my nervous system. Every time we change something, it changes that feeling. So as I do this too, I want to imagine I'm not rolling my shoulder forward, okay? You rotate however you can without that shoulder moving a bunch forward and back, because the rotation should occur in here. So it's important for us to give variable feedback to our nervous system so it has experience in different places so it knows how to operate. Good, now I'm going to point my fingertips a little farther forward. They won't be straight ahead, it'll be in between straight ahead and where we just were. I might rock my hands out a little bit more though. I pop my chest open and I start to rotate. You'll have less internal here. You have less overall here, but rotating back in, back out, in again, out again. Good. So we worked on rotation of the knee. We worked on working those different degrees of rotation with an almost straight knee or almost extended knee. We worked deep knee flexion, and we did shoulder extension work. All of these things that we just did in class, this is just for you to go and take and expand that out and put it into your program. This might be training stimulus for everybody or for somebody, but it won't remain training stimulus for long if you're doing it right. So now that you know how to do those things and how to train your shoulder and knee to some degree, take that and start to add that type of work in. For example, like do 2 rounds of one thing tomorrow and then do 2 rounds of something else the next day. So like do 2 rounds of the thing for the knee, then 2 rounds of the thing for the shoulder, and start to see how you feel. And then start to gauge like, hey, can I work a little harder? Can I do a little more? Or do I need to do a little less? And have that place be in the right space for you. So you should feel somewhat sore the next day. You should feel a little bit of fatigue, but for the rest of that day, you should be able to move that joint and have it feel better. And over time, it should always feel better. And as you do it 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that stuff should starting to feel easier. And if that's the case, then you can either go harder or add more repetitions or more volume to that.